Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bev Evans, and we're going to just give everybody a moment to get settled here for our webinar this afternoon, and we'll kick things off very, very shortly. So please do join us. Okay, are you ready, Michelle? Okay, all right. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bev Evans, and I head up the Evans Wealth Management team at Richardson GMP. And I'm so pleased to welcome you to this webinar this afternoon. Very important topic called Rethinking Retirement During a Global Pandemic. Thanks for investing this hour of the day with us. I'm joined today by Michelle Munro, who's Director, Tax and Retirement Research with Fidelity Canada. I'll be introducing Michelle more formally in just a moment. And I think I'm going to just touch on a couple of housekeeping items for a moment. I know this format is new to all of us, so we are looking to be done by 5 o'clock this afternoon so that you can digest today's message along with a nice dinner. And assuming the technology cooperates, we're also recording this session. So we'll be able to offer a replay next week. If there is a section that you'd like to hear again or that you've missed, then just connect with us, reach out, and we'll be happy to send you the link to a recording. Also, this is intended to be an interactive session. So we really encourage you to participate, especially when you're hearing Michelle's message with questions along the way. And we'll also have a formal question and answer period. There are a couple of different ways that you can ask questions, I believe through the chat function and through the Q&A function. And I'll be watching that along with my helper to see that we get your questions and can get them answered for you. So to get started, I would just like to introduce the Evans team briefly. We have on with us today, and just for, I'll assure you for privacy purposes, nobody can see anybody who's attending, just our panelists today. But we have with us Maria Jakovic, our investment associate, myself, portfolio manager, Ashley Curran, investment advisor, financial planning expert, and my business partner. And new to our team, celebrating her 1-month anniversary with us today, Fabienne Guyon. Happy anniversary, Fabi, who's also kind of working behind the scenes with us today. It's great to have you here. Together we're here and we're ready to make a difference and help you and your family. And that's really what we're passionate about. Making a difference for what matters most to you. And that means understanding what's going on in here. This is this intersection of finance and family, and it goes so far beyond the numbers. It's really talking about and understanding your relationships, your connections, your business, your values, what's important to you, your goals, hopes and dreams. And ultimately, we want to help you through understanding those things, plan a better future. So we have a name for this philosophy. It's a philosophy that our clients have come to count on over the last 10 years, and we call it LifeWealth. And it's the foundation of our specialty, which is helping you and your family through life's different ages and stages. This is what LifeWealth looks like. And I had a chance to sort of show it to you, Michelle, when we spoke initially. It's just taking people through the different things that life throws at us, whether it's from the early years through middle years and out to legacy wealth. And what we've done is for each of these stages and several others as well, we've built the expertise, the resource, and the network to help people make informed decisions at a time that is really important. And I know, Michelle, you had a lot of experience working and researching about life transitions. Do you find there's any particular common thread to these?
Well, you've shown it as a circle, but I always think of it as life goes up and down, up and down. And you know, you go through these life events, and some of them are happy events. I see the baby one there, and people plan for that and they're excited. And then you have more difficult life events. And during those life events, people feel overwhelmed, and they're lacking the capacity of knowing what to do. And that's really highlights the importance of working with a financial advisor or a financial coach to help navigate these difficult times.
Yeah. Well, there's this emotionality to all of these things. And we find these are times when people are most vulnerable. They have these important decisions to make, and yet they're not feeling secure, that things have shifted in their lives. And yet my team and I, we've been through these stages many, many times with different people. And, you know, we can really anticipate and we know what to expect, both financially and emotionally, to avoid the potholes and to get around some of the detours and roadblocks. So today we're going to be focusing on retirement wealth, of course. And it's really, it's an interesting topic and a really important one right now, considering everything. So LifeWealth is our approach. And part of our approach is a really strong commitment to education. I don't know if you recognize this fellow, but you know, we have held our LifeWealth Speaker Series over the last several years with a variety of topics. They've been small events, large events. Of course, in the past, they were always in person. And they could be anything from aging and positive psychology to those were intimate groups or bigger events. Our biggest was in April 2019, understanding the myths of medical marijuana. Standing room only. That was a big one. This actually, I took from a video series we created this past April, just as the pandemic had us wondering what on earth was going on. And we had have a video series called Coping Through COVID-19 with 3 parts. It's still on our website, on our COVID hub. So it continues to be a resource to our client families. And do please have a look at it. But this brings us to why we're here today. And that is the universal life transition. None of us could ever have imagined. COVID-19 has changed the way we think about the future. And I'm wondering if you've noticed, like I have, people make decisions differently now. We've seen it through the toilet paper hoarding and a lot of these early stages. And that, of course, is now, you know, shifted from toilet paper to splash pools in the summer, and now I think it's snowshoes that are flying off the shelves. But people have been consuming differently, but more importantly, they've also related differently. They've gotten to know the people they live under the same roof with in a different way. They've welcomed COVID puppies into their home. A lot of people have decided working from home means working in a different home or getting out of the city, because there's a big exodus from the city and into the rural areas. So in a lot of ways, may feel like this year, 2020, which was supposed to be this year of clarity, kind of is passing us by. And I like to think of it like this, you know, there's a fellow going for a job interview and the fellow's asking, what about the gap in his resume in 2020? What was he doing? And he says, as we might, I was washing my hands. It kind of feels that way. This year may feel like a lost year, but it's really important what we're doing right now in terms of decisions. I know we'd like to sit it out, and I kind of think that sitting it out in this little self-isolation chair might not be too bad an idea. But the future is coming, and we do have to plan for it all the same. And those decisions we make today in this environment are going to be so important down the road. So that's why we're here talking about rethinking retirement during a global pandemic. And when you think about retirement, it's supposed to be the best part of your life. You know, this chapter, act 3, the best part of your life that you're so excited about, because it's changed from being just the end of your work or professional or career years to, the time when you really reinvent yourself, live life on your terms, on your schedule. The funny thing, I don't know, Michelle, if you ask people, well, what do you think retirement planning is? Do they start talking about numbers?
That's not where they start with their thinking about retirement. They come up with their vision first.
Yes, it's so important to have this vision. Where are we going? But the planning part, often people go, well, okay, so I guess we're going to talk about income and expenses and oh, there's the tax rate and what income stream am I going to have? The numbers part, yes, it's important, but I think what often gets overlooked is the importance of the vision first and the emotionality and the difficulty in the emotional decisions. So I'd like to share just the story. Many of my clients know my friend, dear friend, lifelong friend, Nurse Nancy. Nurse Nancy, I told you a little bit about Nancy, and my clients know her from having presented the medical marijuana presentation and just of our adventures over the years. So today, October 1st, Nancy is eligible to retire after 32 years of lifelong career at Sick Kids Hospital. Such a milestone. And yet we've had such heartfelt and soul-searching conversations, she and I, over these months leading up to this, because is it an easy decision to retire? Financially, it seems like a slam dunk. Oh my gosh, there's a pension, take it and run. And the financial part is easy. But, to hear Nancy, and as you've heard many other clients explain it, it's not easy, because when Nancy says who she is, she's a daughter, she's a wife, she's a nurse. That's her role, and that's her identity. That's how she helps people. And retirement has this finality to it that means losing maybe your support system, your connection, and it's really, really difficult. And I'm glad you're going to be helping us understand that is such an important part of thinking of your retirement vision as well. So how do we reconcile this importance of planning for the future and having a vision with where we find ourselves today in a global pandemic? So Michelle, I'm really, really happy you're going to be sharing some insight on that as our special guest. Please do share how you view this and how the Fidelity 2020 survey has looked a little different this year. And I know you're going to share your presentation. So we are going to welcome Michelle and just take a moment to see her, to get her slides organized.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to chat while I'm doing this. Bev, you just need to
Stop.
Without your screen share.
Got it. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. And I'll load mine up. So I am Director of Tax and Retirement Research at Fidelity Investments Canada. I'm normally on the road, and I would be doing this presentation live, but obviously we are all working at home now. And well, many of us are working from home now. And what I usually talk about is thinking about retirement, tax planning, as well as some estate planning, thinking about those life pivots. And specifically for this presentation, Bev wanted me to share with you some insights from an annual retirement survey that we do and how that will impact your thinking about retirement. So I want to start, this is the important compliance notice. Our compliance folks make us put this out. But it's also a very important notice, because what it is this is some general information to help you ask questions about your own situation. Discuss that with your partner, loved ones, family, maybe your friends, and then also discussing it with your financial advisor, maybe a tax advisor, depends on your personal situation, to help you make educated, informed decisions today that could be seemingly small, but will have a big impact in the future. So I mentioned we do a retirement survey every year. We've been doing it for 15 years now. So what that does is it gives us really good longitudinal insights of what retirement trends are. And we ask pre-retirees who are 45 and older and retirees from across Canada. We're looking for males and females, 50-50 split, to really get the insights. In this year, we were in the field in late May. So thinking back late May, that was really the height of the lockdown. Every day, well, I was certainly glued to the news updates, what was going on in Ontario and federally. And it was a time of, we were overwhelmed, not knowing what to do. So it really gives us insights to what people are thinking about when it comes to their retirement. So I want to share some of those insights. So what does the pandemic have to do? What's the impact on retirement planning? How a financial advisor can help you and really provide you with rational advice during these irrational times. So let's start with creating that vision. What do Canadians look like when they're thinking about retirement? So we asked pre-retirees, this is the top, how do you plan to spend your time in retirement? So I call this creating your retirement vision. And this is so important because if you're coming up with, you're planning for a goal, any sort of goal, having a vision of what you want to accomplish is important. And so we have 40 people on the call today. We're going to get 40 different answers, but there's some common themes. Travel. And even during pandemic, travel was the #1 answer. And I know many people who are coming up with their bucket list of where they want to go, what they want to do when the travel restrictions are lifted. And I know travel is going to change, morph into something else, but people are still going to want to travel in their retirement. And then some of the other common responses are hobbies, spending time with family and friends, volunteering, learning. And I put all of this together saying, well, what do pre-retirees plan on doing? And then actually in retirement, that changes a little bit. And not only that, say if you retire at 65 and live to 95, you should be planning for retirement to last 30 years, 40 years, or possibly longer. And it's going to ebb and flow over that time. So the first third will look different than the last third. So taking a very long-term view of what retirement looks like is very important as well. So the first piece of this is thinking about, well, when might I start to retire? So I want to share some results from our survey. And you can see here we asked pre-retirees and retirees when they expect to retire. And 42% of pre-retirees said that they were going to retire at age 65. But when we asked retirees, when did you actually retire? Well, 45% said 60 or under. And the reasons for that, there's 3 main reasons. Well, some people are let go, downsized earlier than they expected. Some people retire earlier than expected for health reasons, their own health or caring for a loved one, possibly a parent. And then the third one is that people get tired. They get fed up with working. And they end up retiring earlier than expected. So I also want to share with you some more insights here about the average age of retirement over a period of time. So back in the 70s, the average retirement age was 65. And over the years, that declined to about 61 in the late 90s. And if some people on the call will remember, Freedom 55, just imagine.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and that reflects what was actually happening at that time. And it hovered there to about age 61 until the late 2008, 2009, which of course was the financial downturn, the financial crisis. And we've been seeing this gradually increasing since then. So I want to share with you what I think we're going to see for post-pandemic age of retirement. I think we're going to end up with a barbell effect, we're going to see some people who are going to retire earlier than expected for those 3 reasons that I discussed. A good analysis of this is teachers. I know a number of teachers who are close to retirement decided to take early retirement this year because they don't want to have to teach in this new pandemic environment. And then on the other end of the barbell, we're seeing some people who are postponing retirement because they're feeling insecure about their nest eggs, their retirement savings, the market volatility. So they're saying, well, I'm going to work a few more years before retirement just to really save a little bit more. And I've also spoken with some financial advisors about clients who are thinking that and said, no, you know what? We put together a plan. We've been working towards this. We've expected market volatility. My client is still on track to retire exactly when he intended. My point of all of this is thinking about what is your specific situation and making an informed decision that's best for you in your situation. One of the other themes I want to share with you is people who are working in retirement. So we asked retirees, after working from your primary job, did you work in retirement? And 28% of them said yes. And when we asked the same question to pre-retirees, do you believe you will be working in retirement? 64% said yes. So what we're seeing is that people who are choosing, after they retire from their primary careers, to continue to work in some shape or form. And so when we dug a little bit deeper, looking at, well, why are they looking to work in retirement? You can see the answers on the right-hand side. Staying mentally and physically active, staying busy, a sense of purpose, social reasons. These are reasons to thrive. Now, financial reasons, that was 45% there. When we dug down and asked, well, what do you mean by financial reasons? People said to make life easier. It's an extra vacation, to do an extra night out, a fancier dinner night out, things like that to make life easier. Now, there is a component of those who said that they have to be working in retirement for the necessities of life. And we like to say here at Fidelity, a plan to work in retirement is not a retirement plan. But all of these things together, it is a trend that's continuing, and people who are continuing to work to really thrive, and how important to think about that, because it might be an option for you.
Now, Michelle, and this is new to us, I see a gentleman named Tom has raised his hand.
Okay.
Are we able to take your question, Tom?
We may have to unmute Tom.
And let me see if I can do that.
All right.
Hi, Tom. Do you want to ask your question? Bear with me. We may be hopefully getting you to be able to ask your question. Sorry, Tom, I see something in the chat here. Okay. I'm sorry, Tom, I apologize. I haven't been able to get to your question or hear you. I do see one in chat, so if you want to, maybe try to chat and we'll figure out this on muting. I am seeing somebody who's shared a comment with us saying that the spending is down so much in COVID because we're not doing anything, but instead we're out hiking on trails or doing outdoor things or gardening. And, you know, that sort of, in a sense, has made living in this COVID area a little bit less expensive. But I think we're all going to be looking forward to doing things that will raise our costs eventually.
Right. what we're seeing is also people are doing house renovations because they're spending more time at home.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, and this is actually a perfect segue into my next section about how COVID has affected retirement planning. And so some more questions from our survey is we asked people if they were the impact to their salary and earnings. And 40%, 39% of all respondents said that they were expecting a decrease to their salary and earnings. So that's a pretty significant number of people in our survey. And then we asked them, well, agree or disagree, or positive or negative. What is your outlook on retirement? And at first glance, you can see on the green there, 60% of people said, I'm feeling pretty positive about retirement. But that's actually the lowest percentage that we've got since we first started asking that question in 2014. Wow. So 40% of people are feeling negative about retirement, which is the highest percentage we've seen since we first started asking this question.
So there is a real higher negativity or more of a negative sense about retirement now than before.
People are feeling worried, which goes hand in hand. And I think it's coincidental or not coincidental. 40% are negatively financially impacted, salaries and earnings, and 40% are feeling negative about retirement. So
makes sense.
Yeah. So next, and this links into, well, we asked people, how has your overall spending changed in comparison to last year? So the percentage of people who said that there was no change actually increased from last year to this year. There was a percentage of people who said they were spending less actually decreased, as well as the people who said they were spending more decreased as well. So this goes hand in hand with the comment that was made. Well, people are, especially in May, I'll speak personally, I was not driving to work, I wasn't paying for parking, I wasn't traveling. So my expenses actually went down during that period. And over time, it's leveling out a little bit as I'm doing renovations in my house and whatnot. So let's continue on, because we've talked about, okay, earnings. Now we're looking at spending habits, and I want to talk about savings habits. So we've asked people, how has your overall savings changed compared to last year? And it's pretty much the same year over year. So people are thinking about saving the same, which I think is somewhat encouraging. So next I want to move into the investing portion. And I broke this down between people who are unaffected by COVID and then those who were impacted by COVID, financially impacted. So those who were not financially impacted, 62% are investing the same as they were last year. And over here on the left-hand side, 19% said that they actually had more to invest. Well, going too fast here. Actually had more to invest. So they're seeing that there's some opportunities in the market volatility. So they have more to invest. And 19%, the exact same percentage, are actually investing less. So they're feeling nervous. So equal numbers are, equal percentages are saying, oh, I have less to invest, I'm feeling nervous. And on the other side of the barbell, I have more to invest, I'm really taking advantage of this opportunity to be investing more. And now the next one I want to look at was people who were financially impacted by COVID. And well, even 10% of those saw the opportunities to continue to invest more. 40% said the same amount. And not surprisingly, 50% said that they were had less to invest, which makes sense. They've been financially impacted. Maybe they're spending the same as they were the year before. They're saving a little bit less and they're investing less here.
Michelle, do you get insight through the survey on the unaffected, those people who are not financially affected by COVID, why they might be spending more or less?
I can speak to it anecdotally, and then there's some of the verbatims in the survey. And it has to do, it's really they're looking at it from a, they feel nervous, they're trying to keep money that they don't know what's going to happen in the future, so they're trying to spend less. They're impacted by what's going on around them. And the next one I wanted to talk about was talking about, well, what are people investing in? And the question is, agree or disagree? I'm not going to invest in anything but very safe investments for a long time because of everything that's happened in the markets in the last while. And so when, if you recall, we did this survey in May, so the respondents would have had their March statements, which was just after the market downturn. Yeah. So I think they would have been feeling more nervous than they may right now. But 40% of respondents agreed with that statement. And those who were financially impacted by COVID, it was about 40%. And even those who were not financially impacted at 34%. So the differences there are they're very much aligned. That's what people are thinking. And you know, Bev, and you know this better than I do, over the long period of time, we see that markets recover. And those who stay invested do very well. And those who sell at the bottom of the market really don't recover. That's what we saw after the 2008, 2009 financial crisis. Those who sold at the bottom of the market were not able to recover when the market rebounded, and really highlighting the importance of sticking to your plan, staying invested.
Yeah, and I don't think that could ever have been more evident this year, because we had in March, we had the fastest, hardest drop in a market that's ever been seen historically over the period of 6 or 8 trading days.
Right.
And, you know, very dramatic, 38% or more. And yet the recovery was equally dramatic, because we have made up and even gone past in some of the indices where we were in March, which for a lot of reasons doesn't even seem to make sense. But if somebody had gotten out with that emotional response and, you know, headed for the hills or for the safety, they certainly wouldn't, especially in retirement, never have been able to make it up again.
Yeah, and it's really, I bet you had a lot of phone calls with your clients saying, stay the course, we have your plan, just.
Well, we had a few conversations for sure, but, and interesting also, I had several people say, you know what, hey, thanks for, you know, we stuck with it because our clients are educated, and we've taught them the principles, and they said, thanks for getting my money back. So that was nice to hear.
It is. Which now I want to talk about the value advice in retirement planning. We ask Canadians, what are you looking for when dealing with your financial advisor? What are you looking for help with? And they're looking for comfort, for financial security in the future. And this is going to resonates with me. This is what I'm looking for. Looking for knowledge about trends and issues that have the potential to impact my investments. And also linking this, and this particularly ties into women, understanding my family situation and how this impacts the investments that I'm investing in or should be investing in. So those are the 3 key areas. And when we ask, how is your advisor doing? A resounding good job. So really highlighting the partnership between investor and advisor. I prefer financial coach, but we'll leave it with that.
Resonates with us, with our approach especially, because it's, again, so much more than the math. Yeah.
A partner.
Yeah.
So next we asked, okay, agree or disagree? I'm feeling confident that I'm on the right track to continue with the investment plan that I established before COVID, before the pandemic. Those who worked with an advisor, almost 60%. Those without an advisor, a little over half of that agreed with that statement. Just driving home the importance of having an investment plan and sticking through it during volatile times. Next question, agree or disagree? I feel optimistic there'll be lots of opportunities for future investment growth. Again, the percentages were really very similar. 58%, almost 60% of people who work with an advisor agreed with that statement versus only 33% who do not work with an advisor. And pulling all of this together, the key document for feeling secure and confident during these volatile times is having a written plan. And not only does it help someone feel more confident from a financial perspective, better prepared from a financial perspective, and you can see the difference there is huge. 87% feel better prepared with a plan versus 56% without a plan. But it also leads into feeling more prepared emotionally, socially, and physically. And how important it is to pull all these pieces together and to have a written plan. And a written plan is not a one and done thing. It's an evolution. And it's something that you work on and tweak a little bit as things go on. And I want to also point out, like when I talked about that vision at the beginning, well, this is what you're working towards, and this is how the steps you're going to take to get there.
I want to mention, I mean, just if you can take just back to that slide for a sec, how high those numbers are with someone with a plan, but financially, yes, certainly much more confident and prepared. But look, as you say, to the coaching role of an advisor partnership, the other areas too. Preparing for retirement and feeling prepared covers so many areas. And starting with that vision, I think the more vivid the vision, the more commitment there is to the plan as well. And
yes,
that's the fun part. We get to say, well, tell us about the vision. Let's daydream together.
It is. That is the fun part. Absolutely. So I did want to share, I have a copy of the report. You can see I use it a lot here. It's all marked up. There's lots of good things in here. I talked a little bit about, I focused on the COVID specific items, but there's lots of good information there. Just looking at what does the retirement paycheck look like? So what are the various sources of income in retirement? And bringing it all together. There's some great insights to really help pre-retirees prepare for retirement, as well as retirees navigate in retirement.
Okay. And we'll make that report available if anyone's interested. Certainly with our follow-up, they can request it, and we're happy to send that out. I see a question has come in. How many people completed the survey?
It was about 2,000 people from across Canada. And we looked for geographical to try to get even geographically, as well as between the male and female, 50-50.
So pretty even representation.
Yes. Yes.
Is it about the same size every year?
It is. Yes. We try to get about the same number every year. Very close.
Right.
I'd
like to just
years.
Yeah, thank you, Brian, for that question. I just want to point out along the bottom bar of your screen, typically in the bottom, you'll see a little, looks like a little quote icon called Q&A. If you would like to type your question in there at all, we'd be happy to take those questions. And in the meantime, I'm going to switch back to the other presentation. Be right back here. Have we got any other questions coming in? Again, you can do that through the chat or through the Q&A. Okay. We'll see if any pop up. I wanted to ask one, Michelle, and you touched on the importance of a written plan. And that is, you know, very, very critical, it seems, to people feeling that security and preparedness on all levels, financially, emotionally, socially, etc. And I know you were saying it's not a single document, because, you know, I see some TV commercials from some of our competitors saying you need this piece of paper to be able to, you know, prepare for retirement. It's a process, isn't it? It's more a series. We feel it's a series of conversations.
It is. It's definitely is. It's an evolution as well. A plan for someone, say, in their 20s would be considerably different for someone that's in their 50s versus somebody who's in their 60s or 70s and beyond. And it could be very simple. I was speaking with one of my colleagues. The simple plan, and he's in his 20s, saying, okay, well, pay your bills on time, spend less than you earn, and set up a pre-authorized contribution plan so you're learning about investing. And because he has time on his side to continue with that. So that could be the simple plan for a 20-year-old.
Right.
I don't know the demographics of the people we have on the call, but the importance of having that conversation with your adult children.
With the kids,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll
This
touch
is
on
what you're
that.
working towards, and good financial habits, and then you build upon there. Certainly when you're about 10 to 15 years before retirement, thinking about, well, what does that vision look like? This is when you're really getting into it. And how much is that going to cost? So I'm very active. I like a lot of sports. And there's a big range between pickleball at the Y or golf at an exclusive golf course.
Sure, right.
So thinking about, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And that's the fun part. You've mentioned that, thinking about, well, what does that want to do? How much is that going to cost? And then how am I going to pay for all of that? And how much do I need to save? And right.
It's true. It all starts from the future back, working it back, sort of like a strategic plan for your life, in the sense of the business approach.
Right.
I see a question, and thank you to Bill for his question, saying, I wondered if you felt there might be another dip. I take it another dip in the market in light of a second wave of COVID. I'm going to say
financial stuff to you, Bev.
Okay. I think that's entirely possible. And in fact, I would say to be prepared that is, a possibility, if not a probability, simply because there's also the US election. I mean, there's always something coming up that could be the little black cloud that causes the market to step back. But this is the importance of a plan, is to know that in the short term, even in retirement at our ages, being maybe in 60s, 70s and on, we have to be able as an investor to tolerate some of these short-term setbacks. You talked about the ups and downs emotionally, and there will be ups and downs in the market. So your plan has to be able to absorb those things. And it's actually a great way to talk about our next point. I'll come back to that, Bill, just in a second. I wanted to share that I had made a slide from our first conversation, Michelle, just with some key takeaways, and hopefully this will help our audience as well, because I just wanted to capture some of the points you had made. And I liked how you'd started off saying, planning for your retirement really means you need to ask yourself some questions. What do you want? What's your vision? What is this all about? Where do you want to take this? And then starting to work with your partner, your coach, your family members on how to get there, how to make that happen. There's definitely no question that COVID has heightened a sense of uncertainty. You saw that very clearly in the results. And you made the point that a plan to work is not a retirement plan. There needs to be something else. Certainly, I've seen when you mentioned some people who do work in retirement, often as a bridge, simply to have, a reason to get up in the morning and some social connections, and that's good, but it does have to be part of an evolution for sure. You touched on the importance, and there was a young gentleman at Fidelity who helped us put this technology together, and I don't know, how old would you say Bryant is? 25?
20 something.
Yeah, 20 something. Very nice young man, hard-working young fellow. But we said, well, Brian, what do you think about retirement planning? When's the best time to start? And he was full on. He said, now. You've got to understand what it means, because you start today. And so we can help. Our team very often is sitting down with our clients' adult kids, or grandchildren, you know, the 20-somethings, because we know that certainly through the school system, they're not taught anything about financial, literacy. So if we can help with those conversations, I just had a request from someone today say, can you sit, you know, my son's engaged and bought a house. Can you sit down with he and his fiance? They need to talk about money. So we're here to do that and here to sort of help instill those values. Sometimes it's easier coming from someone else as well. Certainly very, very strong evidence that those who work with advisors feel less stress. And the numbers were pretty compelling there.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about this, the idea of the written plan, it evolving and looking very different as you work through. On this idea and the written plan, I am so pleased that our firm, Richardson GMP, has really launched just recently a new state-of-the-art sort of leading-edge financial planning tool that is very, very key in our helping you road test your retirement. So with Bill's question, well, what if? That's exactly the type of scenario that this helps with. You might see here, and it's got some beautiful graphics. This is a timeline showing perhaps the last few years of working. Maybe this is 50 to 55. It doesn't really matter what the numbers are. But then breaking down these little markers represent different milestones in this client's life. One might be retirement, one might be the sale of a cottage, one might be a child's wedding, different financial events or life events even that we want to see taken into account to run a what if visual. And this is where we can stress test a portfolio and say, well, what if the market took a step back to the extent that we saw in March or in 2008, knowing that markets recover and investors need to be comfortable that if you're taking some risk, you do have to be able to ride through those rough patches. But we can also assess through something like this, are you going to be in the right financial situation to enjoy the retirement you envision? And this is such a great process. I have to tell you, Michelle, one of our favorite experiences, and this is Ashley on our team who's running through these, it's called My Next Gen Plan, sitting down with a couple, let's say Bob and Mary, and they had been very, very diligent savers, you know, every month so much money went into the special account and, you know, all the right practices. And now it was time just sort of getting to retirement, and the question was, can we do it? All right, we talked about the vision. What's retirement look like? Well, like you, very active. We want to golf in the summer. We're going to curl in the winter. We want to travel. We want to help our kids, you know, and we want to do some of these things. So we put a price tag on that, came back and said, absolutely, you're in great shape. Go ahead. You know, we did the what ifs. Go ahead, enjoy it. And the reaction, the relief of just having this certainty to say, wow, like, let's go ahead. The first thing they did was go out and buy the convertible they had always wanted. Super fun. Second thing was that each of their 3 kids got a very nice envelope in their Christmas stocking at Christmas, very unexpected and very generous, because they knew they could afford to do that for them. And a tool like this, the My Next Gen Plan, and the exercise and the conversations involved with that, working with Ashley, are really having a great impact. So we want to let our clients know that for their upcoming reviews, you're going to be introduced to this, and it's a really great process. So all plans start with kind of this, you are here. And I don't know if you've ever shown up in a city where you don't know the system, or maybe don't speak the language and you just don't know which way is up. The first step in planning, we feel, is figuring out where you are. And we create a base plan, help you orient where you are, start to set goals, and then work through the planning process. So that involves rolling up our sleeves a bit together. Our clients need to also be very involved in that, because we're counting on you to give us the vision. What does that look like? What does it cost? What are you prepared to save towards it? How's that looking? And then we can help you with some certainty in one of our plans. Have you ever been somewhere like this? It's pretty intimidating, I think. We love situations where we're working with our clients. We can kind of illuminate the blind spots, and sometimes those are the things that, oh right, no, that's not going to work, and you can't retire tomorrow, but you can retire in 5 years. Sometimes it's saying, what are you waiting for? It's the future is yours. So it's really a really rewarding process for us to be part of. What I'd like to offer is to those of us who are not our clients, maybe this is something that would be helpful to you in terms of a second opinion. And we have a getting to know you process where we would love to have you connect with us. We'll ask to learn a little bit about you, and with a no obligation on either side process, just to get to know each other and see if maybe we could offer some kind of a certainty to you as you're thinking about your retirement and your plan for the future. You can reach us through your LifeWealth plan. And to all of our attendees today, we want to thank you for your time. We'll stop for questions again one more time, but we will be following up, and you will receive an email tomorrow, a thank you email with connection for Fabi's email address. And if you want to request a copy of the Retirement 2020 report that Fidelity surveys Fidelity did this year, we're happy to send that out. If you'd like to request My Next Gen Plan consultation, we can also talk about how that can happen. So look for that. I would like to just open it to questions again. Is there anyone else who would like to just either raise their hand, put anything in the chat, or enter a question? We'd be happy to see if we can help you out. We're very shy today. Okay, not seeing anything. All right. I wanted to just share, we're still in a global pandemic. I know every day I sort of wake up and just wonder, is this still happening? And yet, in fact, whereas we thought things were on a road maybe to get a little bit better, it seems there's a bend in that road, and we might be in for, again, a difficult period. Speaking of roads, one of the few times I've been in my car in these last months, I saw a road on a sign on the road, and I don't know who puts them out, but they're on one of those digital boards. Have you ever seen them, Michelle? It says, "This is really hard. You're doing great." And
I love that.
I love it.
This is hard. You're doing great. You need to hear that sometimes, right?
You'd need it, yeah. There's a little heart with it, and I don't know what company's doing it or if the city's doing it, but it's a lovely message, and I just want to say to you all, I know this is really hard. You're doing great. We're doing it together. We're getting through it, and for you, your families, please know that for my team and I, we're here for you to help, to listen, to guide, to coach. We'd love to help, and we are very, very grateful for our very long-standing client relationships. Whether you're planning for your future or just trying to get through the next day, just know we're here for you and want to help you have a better and plan for a better tomorrow. So with that, thank you, Michelle. Thanks for your insight and spending your time with us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. To Fidelity as well for continuing this great research.
It's my pleasure. Thank you. And thank you for everyone who's showing up. You're on the great path already.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks, everybody. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us, and you'll see an email from us again tomorrow. Take care. Let's talk soon. Bye. I'm just going to try to stop the recording.